first thing, we'll review and approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I move they be accepted as written.
I second it. All in favor?
You get those?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't have them. We'll review and approve the warrant.
I read it.
I move they be accepted.
Accept it?
You look at it.
So we can cut.
We're all set on this. I think that fire truck one in there, I think was 1 million or something, just a small amount. Even that, I think we're done with that.
Fire truck?
Yeah, I know.
Should be all paid, but they had,
The last bill is just here now.
yeah, but they had, in a hole, $137 or something, I remember, right? Something.
Yeah, there's
So
something to
hopefully
do,
they get sent with it.
something to do with interest and stuff. They haven't sent that, it's just the 56,000 thing.
Okay. We can never hit it right on the head. Well, I thought that day we did, and then, she had to come in and ruin my day. So I was in a hole, $137.
Okay, the next thing on the agenda is on the cemeteries, when we bought that more and more, we took it out of the cemetery account, but there wasn't quite enough money to cover it for the 6-month budget. So she wants to transfer some money from, I believe, the equipment purchasing fund to the cemetery fund, so to cover that.
Okay,
It's $2,800.
want to do the whole thing, or just?
The whole 2,800? Probably should.
That would.
Yeah. Cause they'll be holding it till, I mean, we won't be getting any more in there until July.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work that needs to be done on the cemetery.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
all right, remove it from the, town equipment account, to the cemetery account.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Next thing on the agenda is the redemption of property tax, map 12, lot 3.
Okay, recall last year, we spoke with Mr. Buzzell, Brian Buzzell, about redeeming his property, which had been foreclosed. And, he indicated that he would start paying $400 a month, and have the thing paid off in 6 months. And it's now been a year. I don't think it's paid anything. So this is a letter, and we also asked him to clean up the property, and he would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is a letter to notify them that, we're gonna put it up for sale.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, it was overdue.
Yep.
So I move that we sign the letter.
I'll stop it now. In favor?
Yes, I understand what's going on.
Okay. We have to do it twice? Okay.
Next thing on the agenda is the town of Baldwin sale of tax foreclosed property, the tax map 10 lot 5.
This is, Edwin Linden property on Dearborn Road. And,
Yeah.
the one that's,
Yeah.
Wes is not here, but he said it probably ought to be condemned.
Looks like a measure of good practice house for the fire department.
The only problem is that, and then what you wanna do with it later, but the, there's also people, living there that aren't paying rent. I guess they're with the owner's consent, but I think they're gonna have to leave it soon because they're maxed out on that time.
Mm-hmm.
This, letter says that if the town does, we're gonna put it up for sale,
Mm-hmm.
unless he pays all the back taxes within 30 days.
Yep.
That's usually what we do, we give them 30 days, as a minimum. Other times we may give them more time, but, I think this is the second or third time we've been through this routine with this particular house.
Mm-hmm.
So I move that we sign the letter and send it to him.
I'll second that. All in favor?
And, he has another house down the road. I went through all the checks, it's not a homestead, and it's not his home, so I'm not putting him out on the street, so to speak.
Next on the agenda is a document to help local taxpayers, be posted on the town website, notices to the town residents.
All right, this is something I drafted up, based on some stuff that Ben gave us, I don't know, a couple months ago. Some stuff that we, gleaned from discussions with, town property owners, and, various things. And it is just information sheet to tell people that there's help out there if you wanna go get it. It talks about the, various types of exemptions, the homestead exemption, the veteran exemption, the blind exemption, solar and wind exemptions, current use programs for tree growth, farmland, open space. There's also the state property tax deferral program, which if you sign up for it, it's like getting a reverse mortgage, but the state pays your taxes for you until you no longer need to. There's a property tax fairness credits and the sales tax fairness credits that are available to you when you fill out your 1040 main income tax form. And if you qualify, you can get a good portion of those taxes back, but you have to apply for them. And then there's the COVID relief checks that are coming out in October, $850 for various people, and you don't get it if you haven't filled out a 1040 form as well. And it also says there's home energy assistance programs and other things available if you talk to general assistance. So it's kind of an attempt to get people, or make people aware of what's out there for them if they need help.
You see this survey?
Yeah. I read it.
Seen that one?
Yeah, on the, yeah, good idea.
Yeah, we just post that on the town website.
Yeah.
Next thing is the, Glenvale Solar Project, the TIF presentation. They've asked for a TIF. It's gonna be voted on by the people and stuff, so.
Well, the question is, when do we do it? We would start with just a general information meeting for the townspeople to explain what it is, how it works, kind of get a sense of what people think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If they throw us out on our ears and just drop it.
Yeah, Matt.
So,
Does the fact that, I think it's a fact that, they are planning on changing the size and footprint of the project, which means that they need to come back to the planning board and, re-review their CUP, impact what you do with the TIF at all?
I think you've misread the comment that she made. It wasn't.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to take it in context. I had said at the previous meeting when she was here that every time they give us a TIF presentation, they change the percentage that they want.
Oh.
And that's what she's talking about. It's grown a little bit every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you've grown a little bit.
Yeah, her quote was,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't understand.
Yeah.
It sounded like they were changing the footprint of the, solar panels and everything.
No.
They're trying to get more tax credit.
Oh, okay.
First, they wanted it up to 27%, now they want it up to 30%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It grows a little bit every time. So I don't think we're gonna do it this month. I'd like to, have several weeks to prepare. The whole issue with this thing is that it all has to be in through the process and with DECD by 1 March next year, if we're gonna do it. So we need to kind of hustle through the process, decide if we're gonna do one, because if you're gonna do one, then there's a lot of paperwork. That's a huge sheet of paperwork to do with it, so. I guess the first step should get it over with, and we'll know what the next step is. So, the question is, do we do it on a Tuesday night? Or do we do it on a Saturday?
I think as big a project as this is, probably ought to be on a Saturday.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
We'll be here half the night if we don't.
Yeah.
So, to give us some lead time, it looks like maybe the 18th of June?
That works for me.
You're gonna have to get in touch with them too, to see if they can do it then, right?
Yep, but, say at about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's Father's Day weekend,
No, I didn't know, so.
Don't get us short.
Are you sold on that date, Bob?
Huh?
Are you sold on that date?
No, it was a date that, but we could do it on the 11th as well. Is that a bad date?
No, I was just,
Birthday?
I'm just looking at flights to South Carolina to see the grandchildren, so, before it gets too hot, I haven't seen it since Thanksgiving.
Or we could do it on the 25th, but at least.
Well,
I think myself, I think it'd be better to give us a little more time.
The 25th is not good for me, I'm sorry. My brother-in-law's funeral is on that day, so.
Oh, fine, yeah.
Just noticed. So, or we could put it off for the following week, but I wouldn't wanna go too far out.
and you get into the 4th of July?
That's the second, yeah.
No.
See a lot of people on vacation right before.
Yeah, well, June is not good.
The 11th will give you enough time to prepare.
Yeah, well, I can do it. Yep, still the 11th then.
Love it, okay.
So we'll have to post that pretty quickly then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, the only thing I got left here is Debbie needs a couple new computers. She's got one that's cooked, another one that's headed to be cooked.
I'm quick this morning, but it straightened itself out.
That's the best kind.
I didn't think it was going to, we were already put a call in to Chris and Isaiah. I think that was due to the power outage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He thought that it went down while it was in the middle of doing updates,
No.
kind of threw it for a loop.
I quit.
That's right.
It did for about an hour.
Her computers are $1,500 a piece, but they include printers and everything. And they're tied into the state's website for the, you know, that's why you're not gonna get a $300 computer to do what
Right.
she's gonna have done by tonight or so, what you'd like to.
Yeah, those are pretty old.
They need two of them?
Yeah, but they're gonna split it out between budget on this year finishing out and then the next year going into this fiscal year, so it would be split over two.
Great.
So which, that's a good, yeah, it takes a sting out of it a little, Mike.
Well, I know from working on that side that one of the printers that actually prints receipts for customers is not working. And so that it's connected to the computer directly, and I guess the USB ports are not in good shape either, so.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of figured in here for some labor to do some straightening out stuff,
Mhm.
so what do you guys, I say she needs them.
Yeah.
Take a vote?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we replace this computers.
Second.
All right, we'll make her happy.
Can't work without your tools.
That's right.
There's another side to your agenda.
Yeah, I didn't know that was on the agenda, I apologize. The computer that came up today.
So we almost missed that. The cemetery rules. Where's Stevie?
He's hiding.
You're the only one here. The baby coming or something?
Well, we don't know yet. Just trying to get, if there's any policies, rules on the cemetery, if there's, I know some cemeteries are different, like we discussed earlier, that the ordinances and what can be and what can't be, and who's responsible for taking care of. Running into a lot of, like, the fake flowers, destroyed.
I got a copy of rules on the new cemetery.
Yeah, we grabbed that today.
I
So
gave
you've
that to
already
him.
got it then, so you can study that?
Yeah.
They should apply to all the town cemeteries.
Well,
Not like this one and then, West Baldwin and North Baldwin.
right.
They should all be the same.
So basically what it says is that it's the responsibility, of the owners of the lot, or family members, to remove all,
Right.
fake flowers or, old wreaths and such, but folks aren't doing that, I guess. And so, Chris said that he, went around on Monday with the new cemetery gentleman that's gonna do the mowing, and spent a great deal of time removing all of that, old stuff. And then the other issue was like mulch, birch bark. I thought it was pretty unattractive unless if they had to mow, but that was my ignorance, because apparently when they go to mow or rake, it gets blown all over the cemetery, and it's not tidy at that point. Is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
I never seen that. I don't think there's any rule about that.
No, so I guess,
I helped come up with those rules, and I've been so long. Me, Ronnie, and my father came up with those rules.
so I guess some people have quite a lot of, like, bark or mulch around the
Yeah,
stone
yeah.
to make it look nice, but apparently that's not an easy thing to maneuver around when caretaking.
The old cemetery up West Baldwin's, that's a hard one.
Mhm.
I mean, stuff has been there for 200 years too.
Well, it's tight and it's got a lot of different levels
Yes,
and,
it does.
Yeah.
Where I know you can't have that, you can't build up with stone and stuff in the new cemetery and stuff.
Yeah.
It's gotta be at ground level and everything, so it's easy to mow. And
Yeah. Yeah.
They give you guys a little bit of time to study up on this.
Today, we haven't really,
Yeah, that's why I'm saying.
yeah, we haven't really looked, we've browsed it, but we haven't, like, studied it, but.
Why don't we bring this up again next week, meeting and stuff, and then it'll give you guys a chance to look things over a little bit too.
Yeah,
What's the plan on all the older cemeteries?
we're making our way through. the
Okay.
list.
I got a report that there's a lot of trees down and stones toppled over.
Yeah, well, we
Trees that
gotta,
hit the stones, and unfortunately, they haven't been broken, but they've been off the.
we went to the Parker Cemetery up on the Old Road and we took those trees.
Yeah.
That's the one we're talking about.
Yeah.
The stone, we reset the stone,
You did,
hung the sign back up and cleaned it up,
okay.
so,
I think that's what my father was really mainly talking about.
yeah. Yeah, he gave
Okay,
me a
good,
call.
I can tell him that we can relax.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, we're making our way through them,
Okay.
still trying to find them, but I do have all the paperwork. And
Grab him, you can share it with him. He's going around with the historical society and. they're
Right.
So,
And we've been adding them, I believe Chris has been adding them to Google as we find them, so they'll get pinned. There's already several on Google, which is kind of amazing. You just ask the cemeteries near you and it comes up with. some-
probably other people have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them are wrong.
Correct, some are wrong, but we have been able to locate several of them going
Yeah.
that way.
So, Jim, is your dad going to fault on us?
Yeah.
Have they done their GPS on all of them, or they?
Not yet, no, I guess they still got some, they've done, North Baldwin and East Baldwin.
Okay,
Yeah, they still got West Baldwin to do.
I guess between the two, you'll get them
Yeah,
geolocated.
Right.
yeah.
I was looking at a Baldwin Historical book the other day, and they give the names of some of the cemeteries, but don't give no locations.
Right, yeah.
Then it says there's one at the end of my driveway.
There is.
Yeah, I remember that, we looked for that one, we couldn't find it.
Yeah, that kind of surprised. I know there's one up the street from me.
Yeah.
And I know the fire horses are buried out back of me.
Mhm.
You know, the old Boston fire horses and stuff. But I didn't realize down at the end of my driveway, there was, it has to be across the road.
I don't know, they said it was right at the end of your driveway.
Right.
I took a kid out there, I don't remember which one now, that we looked, we couldn't find anything.
No.
There's a lot of them too that don't have markers. You would never know if there's a cemetery there.
Right.
Well, that's like up in West Baldwin, there's some lots up there that aren't marked. But we thought we was gonna be able to use them, but we had them wrong, like on
Yeah,
Sunday, we had
yeah.
them wrong. There's 3 caskets in that lot.
You don't know who they are.
No, don't have a clue.
There's 2 really cool ones down, off of the school road, the school street. Some of them, they have pets buried with them. If they're out, you go out to the right, there's a road, there's the big pine trees out through.
Yeah.
They're really
They're
neat.
kind of
cemeteries.
almost side by side, the two
Yeah, they do,
cemeteries.
yeah, those are really neat ones.
Yeah, they are, yeah. Huh.
All right, so we'll take a look at that in a week or 2, whatever it takes, and
Yeah, I mean, Chris has been handling most of it, so I don't really wanna speak on his behalf. but
Yeah.
I know some of the things have, the West Baldwin Cemetery, I think is the worst as far as the wreath being everywhere is, not, you see the stands, but then there's wreaths down at the bottom that are destroyed,
Yeah, blown, yeah.
blown because people aren't taking care of.
You know, fake plastic flowers.
Yeah.
I get threatened if I open one of my parents. Yeah, put those on mine.
okay, the next thing we got is a sand pond beach sign and stickers required. We wanna talk about that, there's a sand pond meeting Thursday night.
Yeah.
Chad brought it to my attention that the town of Sebago has a sign that says, stickers required, basically, for anybody to be there. So he thought something similar would be helpful for him to have at the beach.
I thought we had one, you know that? Yeah, we got a meeting, Thursday night, 6:30?
That's gonna be right here.
Yeah.
I don't think 2 days is gonna kill us as far as ordering them.
No, I don't think so.
No. So I think it's something we ought to be jumping on right off work.
I do too, yeah, just.
What color you want them stickers this year? Last year they was orange.
The stickers we have,
The new ones?
yes, the new stickers we have. This is a sign,
Just a sign?
like to go up on a post or a tree.
Oh, I see,
Right,
the
Chad,
sign,
is that what you're?
the sign that says stickers required on.
Stickers
Okay.
required.
They're right.
Beach stickers required or something along those
Yeah, okay.
lines. But no, we have the regular
Yeah.
stickers to sell, so those are all lined up and ready to go. The other thing to, I guess, firm up is there's a, $35 family pass,
We were talking about that, yeah.
right, so Ben was in last week and I had, reached out to him through email just to confirm when the beach was going to be open, what the rules were, are we gonna have these passes, the $35 family pass, and what the rules were associated with them. So when he came in, he said that rather than going through the expense of ordering those, they could probably be made up and laminated here in the office, which, is fine. I don't think that we're gonna be selling a huge number of them.
As needed, yeah.
So I'll just need to touch base with Debbie and make sure that, we have a laminator and that it works.
Laminated works, I just used it,
Okay,
yeah.
so if you want to write something up, or even handwrite, then I'm happy to type it up and we can print it off and laminate them and make a bunch of them. So if you get together the wording as to what you want on the sign
Okay,
with the rules or whatever,
okay,
because I think, the big, selling point on those was that that a Baldwin resident had to be with them. So that something along those lines might need to be printed on that family pass.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we'll address that Thursday night.
Yeah.
Okay, the last thing that I got is, Bruce, you're on the agenda.
I'm on. What I'm asking, to start with is WMTW. The last correspondence we had was April 12th. And it says we are having a corporate legal department review and propose, and we'll get back to you. And once we have our response prepared, hopefully soon, you guys have any luck, and I'm probably talking to you, Paul, more than anyone, with this, Gregory guy, you can get hold of him?
Try.
I don't wanna go on for 2 or 3 months and then we'll be up against it trying to get it done before fall, so.
You make a copy of the letter for me, and I'll.
Yep, I can do that, I'll put it on the desk tomorrow. Can do that. So if we could just keep moving on that, that's what I'm trying to do. ISO, been with them, talk to them, our training is all, and it's gonna hurt us bad. But all I can tell you, I'm only one person, but I can only do so much right now. The training's been put off, and it bit me. So, he wants to come back and do a hydrant, and I was hoping to do any hydrant that I chose, and he is very adamant that we do Woods Mill, because that's where he did it before. So, Woods Mill has a beaver dam in there now, and a hydrant, guys took it out. So I've gone down with the road crew and looked at it. I think we moved the thing back towards the main road, if you wanna call it that, Woods Mill Road. Move it back another, probably 50 feet, probably. It's a better spot, and then as they come down around that hill, you can actually see, what you're filling for trucks.
Oh,
what's
yeah.
going on.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Instead of being way down. The other thing being way down with some of these midship pumps, when you line up with a hydrant that's there now, you start down over the hill with a truck, and it does not feel good, looking down at the brook and nothing in front of you. So those are things that I kinda gotta address, right off the bat for that.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can't be done. The only thing I asked, could I use the town crew in the backhoe to dig it and bury it? Other than that, I'll have to, jog it out. And that's why I'm here to ask a question. It shouldn't take too long to dig it. I do have to meet with Dean Wood. I thought, Fred on it, and Dean on it.
Yeah.
So I gotta meet with him, but
Yeah.
it just sounded like he just wanted to, talk to me and show where it was. It
Yeah.
didn't sound like there's a problem doing it at all.
Okay. Well, one time they had that blocked off and couldn't get down there. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
Well, this property's been sold.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The road went across Lester's property to get down and back by the old sawmill, where that hydrant is.
Yeah.
And that's what I was hoping to use, the one right across from his house by the office there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you could drive down in and go back out. Because once you're down there, you're not trying to turn. When you're hauling water, you don't want to be turning, particularly if you're loaded, you don't want to be turning. You want to do it empty, but if you can make a round thing, it speeds it up by quite a few minutes.
Yeah, it does, yeah. I don't know, no problem with, unless Chris has got time, and Steve's got time to do it, and,
They can choose a time.
yeah, they can.
They got all kinds of time. Bruce, which one do you want to take the funding out of?
Which one? I didn't hear, you said something about funding, which one? Which one?
I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't hear, I was just, other than that, the trucks, we've got the bills on them pretty much now, and I've got the tires left on one to get, so. And we come into the new budget in, 6 weeks, whatever.
Yep.
It should be,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's mine.
Oh, no, new study. I haven't read it, I take it you have?
It just received it this morning, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, I was here before, but apparently it's something, just shut my computer down. Because when I come back, a little after 5, it was there, and I
Yeah,
haven't
no,
read it.
I forwarded it, late this afternoon.
Yeah.
I haven't read it yet. So sometime we'll have to keep moving forward from there. How do we get it to public, public and stuff like that? Just keep that in mind as we move forward.
Yeah, yeah,
That we need to get it out to the public so that we can start getting feedback.
right.
That's it, that's the last one.
Mary,
Anyway,
and you're feeling better?
I'm feeling better, yeah.
What about Kenny, how's he doing?
He wasn't as sick as I was. I was in bed most of the time. But, I feel better. I don't think I could give it to you at this point. It's too long ago. But,
Good to see you back here.
yeah, I know, I felt bad. I didn't dare go any place. I don't want to give anybody this.
Wow.
Now they gave it to me.
Yeah, did you get anything?
Not really, same old stuff.
Mhm.
Chugging along, still haven't gotten the stairs inside inspected, and nobody wants to return the calls with trying to find replacements for the fluorescent lights, and, if they don't mind money, that'd be great, but if they want 3 times as much, that's not gonna work for us, and, just gotta find somebody that's willing to do the work. I got 36 fixtures that need to be replaced. I'll keep going, we'll get there sometime.
Yeah. Joe?
Nope,
Nothing at all?
nothing at all.
Man, you must have something.
Yeah, I found a dead deer carcass in Sanborn Pond the other day, it was pretty insane.
Ooh.
Yeah. My grandson took the ankle wrap for our daughter's stand-up paddleboard off the dock. I've been out, no paddleboard. I figured, well, it must be down at the dam. I looked, yeah, there it is. There's the paddleboard down at the dam. So I had to row down and get it. When I rowed down, there's a deer carcass with the ribs and everything right in the water. Yeah.
Do you want a coyote kill or?
I think it got hit by a car and probably went up and died in the
yeah.
water. Big deer.
Wow, that's too bad.
No, actually, I do have some serious stuff. Just a question about Wes and the code enforcement officer. I heard he was gonna retire this month. What's the plan for replacing him? Do we have a replacement, or what's going on there?
We haven't done too much on that yet.
And we haven't, found new, members for the planning board either, so those are 2 things we need to work on. Yeah. He's not gonna leave us, he said he'll stay on until we find somebody, but we do need to find someone.
I see in the paper, Hollis is advertising for 1, 2.
Mm.
They're hard to come by.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether,
Would like to be
I'm wondering whether MMA or Lee J. Feldman at Southern Maine, whether there are, stopgap for hire code enforcement officers that you can obtain on an interim basis that can take the communications and be here 1 day a week, like on Friday mornings, like Wes is, until you're able to find somebody.
I'll bet Don Sharp would do it.
You think he's interested in doing something like that?
Yep.
Oh, that's easy enough.
Just thought.
Yeah. You've been a code enforcement officer, haven't you?
I don't think so, but he's hung around planning boards and
Well, he's an engineer.
that sort of thing
So
for
you have to do the classes and stuff, and
40 years, whatever.
Still need to pass the test, but.
Well, can't you appoint those people on interim basis?
yeah,
I think that almost up to a year.
cruise along for a couple of years.
A year or 2
It's
years.
really, get it really down.
Yeah.
He's working on it.
So, one thing I wanted to talk about, I think, Bob and Dwight, are up to speed on this, but I wanted to mention it to you too, Jim, is that the planning board has a conditional use permit in front of it, that, I think has some significant implications for the, long-term aesthetics, of Pequawket Trail in, Baldwin. And it's the Joel Goldstrom CUP for the billboard that he has down at the corner of, what is that, 5 and 113?
Yeah.
Okay, so, the key point is that if, that billboard, if the CUP is granted to allow that 4x8 double-sided billboard, and I call it a billboard because it's not a sign, okay? A sign is something like Steve Estes has that says, here's the Estes pit. The Goldstrom billboard has his picture on it, it's got the name of the business, it's got the telephone number, it's got the, the address, the internet address and things like that. It's an advertisement for business.
Yeah.
And, it's in a location where, for Baldwin, that's one of the busiest intersections right there. People going back and forth to Cornish and people zooming up and down 113.
Right.
If anybody stops or slows down to try and see what's going on there, you could potentially have an accident.
Yeah.
But more importantly than that, if the CUP progresses in a way that billboard is allowed to stand and stay in Baldwin, it sets a precedent that anybody in Baldwin who has a business along 113 would be able to establish or put up the same type of double 4x8 sided billboard. And it is a bit of a stretch, but not totally. If that happens over time, whether it's 5 years or 10 years, Baldwin is going to start looking more and more like Wyndham,
Even worse than Route 1.
Yeah. And I love working with Wes. I like Wes. You know what? I wish Wes had been my dad instead of the half a bastard that I had. I mean, he's a really nice guy. But, take Glenn Reynolds. The first question that Glenn asked Joel Goldstrom was, what are you going to do when the conditions of your CUP says that you need to have a sign no greater than 20 square feet? Because that's what he said this, he said, that's what my CUP conditions enforced on me 30 years ago. Okay? Now, in 3 meetings that Wes had with Joel, he never ever brought up the fact that every CUP for a business in Baldwin that he's ever sat in on has had a 20 square foot requirement. Hence, we're in a situation where, we have this double 4x8 sign, and Wes is working with the DOT to enable Joel to set up an office within 1,000 feet of it so he can keep the sign. Okay, Now, the planning board has never seen any of this communication with the DOT. And my reason for bringing it up here is that, I don't know exactly who, but I heard that people in Baldwin contacted the CEO complaining about the sign, because they didn't like it, they didn't like the aesthetics of it, and that's how the DOT got involved. I asked Joel at the planning board meeting, because unfortunately, Joe and David couldn't be there, so I had to lead it. I asked him if he would go along with, or acquiesce to, or comply with a condition, like on all the other CUPs, for a sign that would be 20 square feet. And I explained to him that sign would need to be perpendicular to the road and 20 square feet with a sign on either side. And he said, I don't know, not necessarily. Okay. So, I opted, and I asked the other members who were there to vote on whether we were going to advance the CUP to a site walk and public hearing, and it was a unanimous decision not to. So there's a question about whether there's going to be an appeals board just on the administrative decision that the planning board took. I don't know exactly where all this is gonna go, but I think it's important for Baldwin that we pay attention to this sign issue and kind of work together as a team to address it. Some of the options are, we could get 25 signatures and request a special town meeting. And the actions at that special town meeting could be as simple as a 6-month moratorium on signs, or not just signs, but on billboards. I really want to make that distinction between a sign that announces that a business is located here and a billboard that is for marketing and advertising purposes. Or we could, if we're able to develop it, have a sign ordinance that could be voted on, but it may take longer to develop an ordinance like that makes the distinction between a business located here sign versus a billboard advertising sign. And frankly, we're kind of bending. We're trying to help them because we're still allowing the sign, if it's 20 square feet, to stay where it is. Technically, if the office that he's putting together, which isn't working out well for him because he's just trying to stick it in a closet in a rental property he has there, not so he can really do any business there, but just so that he can comply with the DOT requirements that he has a place of business within 1,000 feet of the sign. Technically, the sign should be up on Rocky Dunn Road, which is where the office is located.
Is that that house right there in the field there?
Yeah. So that's what's going on. I wanted to see if the select board had any comments or questions or guidance for us as we wrestle with this, because we we don't wanna do anything that's gonna have a negative impact on Joel's business, and we wanna treat him with respect and empathy, but we don't wanna set a precedent that allows signs of that size and nature all up and down 113.
Right, yep. Is it defined anywhere, the difference between a billboard and a sign?
I don't know. I was talking to Lee J. Cobb, Lee J. Feldman, Lee J. Cobb, is that a baseball player, right? Yeah, I was talking to Lee J. today, just because I was giving him an update on where we're at with the comprehensive plan, which I'm gonna cover next. And I asked him if he had any insight into this, into any regs, what the DOT's regs are, you know, who designates a road as a scenic byway? 113 is a scenic byway,
Yeah.
in fact, the sign is right down there.
Right.
Who designates that, and are there any conditions for a road being designated a scenic byway? We don't know, so we need some
Yeah, I was
information.
years ago, yeah.
So, you know, hopefully we'll learn a little bit more from Legion.
He's taking the sign down.
He took the wood for the sign is still standing.
Yeah, I know
but
what it is, yeah.
we basically we told him that he could not formally apply for his CUP. The sign being there creates a violation of DOT regs.
Yeah.
And he can't have any active violation of state regulations when he applies for his CUP. So we asked him to take the printed part of the sign down while he applied.
Yeah.
So any,
He argued that one out, but we just said, look, will you do this for us? And he finally realized that, yeah, he better do that. You know, I've been on the planning board 26 years. 26 years is about a generation, you know. I mean, 26 years ago, the people who came in front of us were my age. You know, at the time.
Right.
And they're still that age, but I'm not. But it's a different group of people.
Mm-hmm.
We have people who know their rights.
Mm-hmm.
When I 26 years ago, I was looking for a justification for what am I doing here, because I hate bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized after maybe 6 months, a year on the board, that what we did was we got people talking to each other and finding a way through and making it neighborly so things worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that concept of the planning board is valid anymore. I don't know
I see
if
it
that,
working like that. I mean, I've seen you guys try to work through stuff and try to make everybody happy, you know, it's yeah.
you know, somebody comes in and they want to have a garage, which is what most people involved in come to us for. And the person next door is all upset until you say, well, you know, they won't start before 7 and they won't keep going after 6.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and they're not going to be allowed to have a bunch of cars lying around the yard. You know, and you start to define things out, and everybody gets along by the end of the time.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like now, if we had one of those garages come, the guy would know his rights, and it wouldn't be a matter of getting along with his neighbor. And this is, I think, you know, one of the things Matt's talking about is this guy knows his rights, rather than, well, yeah, I don't want to have a bad reputation in town. I don't want to make people angry at me.
Right. Yeah.
I want to have a positive image so people will come to me to do business with me.
Mm-hmm. You would think so, yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we're at, is like, we need some help and reinforcement here. You know,
Wes was in here, he was down on me because I didn't wanna have the planning board propose a sign ordinance. And then he turns around and next time I hear about him dealing with signs, he's all pro-sign. So, I mean, I don't know where we're going with Wes, but if you guys don't say, okay, such and such a date's your last date, you're going to have him for another 300 years. You know, at some point, you gotta say that, because he's not going to quit on you. He's gonna say, I won't let you down, I'll be there for you, I like to be appreciated, who doesn't?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, it's up to you when you lose.
I'm trying to get Joel to see the greater good and the impact on Baldwin of doing this and
Mhm.
stuff like that, but he's pretty much laser focused on his business and keeping his sign, so we'll work it out. But, I don't think that the planning board is gonna be able to solve this on its own or have a good outcome on its own. I think it's gonna take some groundswell of support from the town and some interaction with the select board and, you know, stuff like that.
Right.
But it may be worth going to that effort to prevent a precedent from being established.
Right, yeah.
Can you declare a moratorium, or do you have to have a vote to do that?
I think you've got a town meeting, don't you? Because the Sebagos who went through that. Yeah. I mean, they got problems over there that I'm glad we're on this side of the line.
So that's on, gravel pits or something?
Yeah.
We've been there, we did that.
Yeah, but things have changed since you guys did it to what's going on over there.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah. People are different.
Mhm.
yeah, you're right.
So,
Maybe-
the only other thing is the comprehensive plan. At one of these meetings, we need to, have the select board kind of formally, authorize, the core working group for the comprehensive plan. I don't know whether you wanna go so far as to identify and authorize you know, kind of the advisory committee, or whether you want the core working group to recommend the advisory committee. But in order to get started with the comprehensive plan and establish a kickoff meeting, there has to be a chair and a core working group and stuff like that, so we can get moving on it. So,
There's no time like the present right now to elect a chairman. What do you think?
Do we have a list of?
Well, a chair, we can make the chair happen right now.
Okay.
You Matt Becker being chairman of the, what's the executive board? What's the title of it?
the core working group.
So, for the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, the comprehensive plan.
So, you have a second?
I'll second it.
We'll take a vote.
Yeah.
Looks like you're the man.
Thank you. I'm honored, and
And you have a
somebody
list of-
pisses me off, I promise not to quit.
And you've already,
It's all right, you know, it's all right.
you've already given us a list, I think, of
Yeah,
nominees for the members to the core working group, and we'll go through that, and we will formally approve their participation, shortly.
the working group was you, Bob, Joe, me, Tracy Grisey, and Don Sharp. And then, you know, if we wanna add anybody else to that working group, one or two more, we can keep it small. And then the idea of the advisory council was, you know, town fathers and mothers and people you know, knowledgeable about Baldwin's heritage as well as devoted to its future. Names that came to my mind, you know, Alan Doloff, Gary McNeil, Norm Blake, Jeff Sanborn, Glenn and Norma Haynes, Kathy Pierce, Connie Warren, Dwight suggested Gordon Wentworth, so, you know, we can formalize the, you know, those, the working group and the advisory council, and then set up a kickoff meeting.
Maybe that's something we ought to put on for the next meeting and stuff here, so we give us a little time to prepare for that.
Yeah. The more people that think about who should be on those, the core group and the advisory council.
So it's a core group for the comprehensive plan. I'll ask my
Yeah.
child if he's interested in.
Yeah, so we thought, you know, we would have this small core group, you know, 5 to 7 people that would, you know, kind of be the day-to-day, week-to-week, doing most of the interaction with Southern Maine Planning and Development, who are really doing the lion's share of the work. And then once we get chapters done in the comprehensive plan and stuff like that, and a little bit of editing and stuff, you know, we can give something to the advisory council to look over and make sure that, you know, kind of a sanity check that we're on the right track.
Okay.
But you know, it'd be good to have some of those people there at the kickoff meeting to provide strategic direction to Southern Maine Planning and Development Corporation.
Okay.
I almost disagree with you.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're going after Southern Maine Planning to more or less round this out and use their expertise to develop this.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, then I'll agree with you now, to get the people in the right places that know the history of the town and are looking ahead a little bit at the, you know, in the next part of the future and stuff, so. Does that make sense?
I wasn't clear on how you
Well, I would think that the person that would be running or be bouncing the ball the hardest would be Southern Maine Planning and Development.
They are.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. And they basically said, yeah, give us some, direction and then,
Which
stay
will
on
come
our road.
from your little board that you're gonna have together.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense. You get anything else, Matt?